Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrata Acharya Ashtota Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 31. Narada instructs the Prachetas. We're on text 12. Kim va yogena sankyena nyasa swadhyaya yayor api kim va shayobir anyash cha na yatratma prado harihi kim va yogena sankena nasa swadhyaya yorapi Kimba Shayobir Anjascha Nayatra Mapradoharihi Kimba Yogena Sankena Nyasa Swadhyaya Yorapi Kimva Shayobir Anyaishcha Yatratma Pradoharihi Kimva Yogena Sankena Nasa Swadhyaya Yorapi Kimva Shayobir Anyaishcha Yatratma Pradoharihi. Okay, word by word. Kim, what is the use? Va, or Yogena, by mystic yoga practice. Sankhya, by the study of Sankhya philosophy. Nyasa, by accepting sannyas. Swadhyaya, and by study of Vedic literature. Api, even. Kim, what is the use? Va, or. Shovi, by auspicious activities. Anyayi, other. Cha, and. Na, never. Yatra, where. Atma pradaha, full satisfaction of self. Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So before we read the translation, the other day I mentioned how Prabhupada, he had a briefcase he would carry with him around the world, a white briefcase, famous white briefcase. And how Prabhupada was gifted, Srila Prabhupada was gifted by one of his disciples a new briefcase. And what was in that briefcase, I was mentioned the other day. So here in this Sri Krishna Kathamrita put together by Madhavananda Prabhu, this one is Govardhan Hill, the best of devotees. So there's a short description from this devotee of this pastime of Prabhupada giving him his white suitcase. So this is Ugra Shrava Das. So I'll just read it. It's you'll find it amusing and uplifting. Just before Srila Prabhupada arrived in Melbourne, Australia in 1973 to bless us with his presence, I decided to buy a new briefcase for him. I had it covered with Thai saffron silk fabric and embossed A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada with gold leaf. Previous to this, I had noted that Srila Prabhupada always carried a small ink-stained vinyl briefcase. I thought that the Jagat Guru should not carry such a bag. During the 10 days that Srila Prabhupada was in Melbourne, he stayed at my family home, which was situated in an affluent beachside suburb. In the afternoon, the day after he arrived, I entered his large sitting room where he would receive guests and give darshan to his disciples. When I entered, he was sitting at his desk. I offered my obeisances and presented the new briefcase to him. Srila Prabhupada thanked me for the present and picked up his old ink-stained briefcase, put it on top of the desk, and proceeded to take out the contents. Started taking out what was in there. He made 2 piles of items from the contents. Then he put one pile into the older briefcase and the other into the new briefcase that I had just given him. He then picked up the older briefcase and put it on the the loose contents into the new briefcase. Got up and did one lap of the room. He stopped in front of the wall mirror, looked at himself, holding the new briefcase, smiled, gave a small swagger, walked back to his desk, and sat down. Srila Prabhupada then once again took everything out of the briefcases and made 2 piles of items, one which he put into the older case and one into the new case. Again he stood up and walked around the room, once more stopping in front of the mirror, where he smiled and swaggered in front of his reflection. Again he walked back to the desk and repeated the same act, removing the items from the cases, making 2 piles, putting them back in the bags, standing up once more and walking around the room. Stopping briefly again before the mirror, he did this 4 times, humoring me with his behavior. Srila Prabhupada then started to speak to me about worship of Shaligram Shila, which at that time was an unknown topic to many of his disciples. So this was 1973. Ugra Shava Prabhu. He, oh, you know him. He handed me his older briefcase along with its contents. Inside the older bag were his japa beads and bead bag, 2 worn Gayatri threads, a reading glasses case covered in silk and saffron and beaded with an image of Lord Jagannath, an old money belt containing 2 of the garlands he was wearing when he first left India to sail to New York. The bag also contained various small plastic bags of Vrindavan dust, 4 Govardhan Shilas, a saffron-colored knitted woolen scarf, a pair of socks, sandalwood kurta buttons, a washcloth, and a few other small items. The 4 Govardhan Shilas are worshipped to this day in my home temple room, along with some shaligrams. Every morning they are bathed in Ganga water, massaged with scented ghee and oils, and get a full arti. 1 or 2 weeks after Srila Prabhupada gave me these precious gifts, he sent instructions to all temples, advising his disciples that if they had any shaligram shilas, they should immediately return them to India. I, of course, kept the Govardhan shilas that Srila Prabhupada had given me. Prior to him giving me his old stained briefcase, Srila Prabhupada would never allow his secretaries or assistants to touch it at any time. When he went on his morning walks, he would personally put the case in his tin trunk and lock it. Brahmananda Das told me that when he traveled with Srila Prabhupada as his secretary, he would try to carry that small ink-stained bag, but Srila Prabhupada would not let anyone else touch it. It's amazing. Yeah. So there's a picture here of the suitcase, Prabhupada's old suitcase, his bead bag, and the glasses covered with the beaded Jagannath. And then also, if you turn the next page, you'll see there's a picture of the 4 Govardhan Shilas, Prabhupada. So you can pass it around. Okay. Yeah, it's never heard that before until I read it here and this. I don't know. Did you know that about him, Ugra Shava Prabhu? He has a restaurant, huh? But yeah, Prabhupada. But Govardhan and Shalagram, they weren't introduced, right, until after Prabhupada left, right? Somehow or other. He instructed Jananivas Prabhu how to worship Shalagram. Mayapur was the first temple. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we'll have to take a trip out to Australia, right? Yes. You want to
relevant to what we were saying. It was Harisha was saying in 1971 or 72 when devotees went on Parikrama to Govardhan, they took some Srila. When Srila Prabhupada heard about it, he ordered them to put them back. That's another. And then it talks about the first worship in New Mayapur of a Srila.
Yeah, there's a whole pastime of I forgot whose wife it was, but it might have, I don't know if it was Harishari's, somebody's wife, but there was somehow or other Govardhan Srila came to New Mayapur, France, right? France. And she was worshiping, and then but Prabhupada was telling all the devotees, oh, just if you have any Shalagram Shrilas, you bring them back to India. But she already started the worship, so then I believe Prabhupada instructed her how to worship. But all right, so here's the word by word, or here's the translation to text 12. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless. Be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of Vedic literature, all these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement. But unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, all these processes are useless. Purport. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 24, text 109, it is said, Bhakti vina kevala gyane mukti nahi hoy, Bhakti sadhana karye prapti brahmaloy. Impersonalists do not take to devotional service, but take to other practices such as the analytical study of the material elements. The discrimination between matter and spirit in the mystic yoga system. These are beneficial only insofar as they are complementary to devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore told Sanatana Goswami that without a touch of devotional service, jnana, yoga, and Sankhya philosophy cannot give one the desired results. Then personalists wish to merge into the Supreme Brahman. However, merging into the Supreme Brahman also requires a touch of devotional service. The Absolute Truth is realized in three phases: impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these require a touch of devotional service. Sometimes it is actually seen that these Mayavadis also chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, although their motive is to merge into the Brahman effulgence of the Absolute. The yogis also at times take to chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but their purpose is different from that of the bhaktas. In all processes, karma, jnana, or yoga, bhakti is required. That is the purport of this verse. Om Ganadibadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Meditamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kritavachalam Pangam Langate Gadim Yakipatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Diditaninam Vancha Kapadabisha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, all right, I'll read the translation again. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless, be they mystic, yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement, but unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, all these processes are useless. So the Yuga Dharma, the dharma for this age, Kali Yuga, is to chant the holy names of Krishna. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Eva Kevalam. And a lot of people, they engage in this. A lot of people engage in chanting the Hare Krishna mantras. Prabhupada says here in the Srila Prabhupada says here in the purport. Sometimes yogis engage in chanting. Sometimes Mayavadis engage in chanting. So many different people are engaged in chanting Hare Krishna. But of course, the bhaktas, they're engaged. The devotees are engaged. But they're engaged for different reasons. The goal of these different personalities is different. Like the goal, the Mayavadis are chanting for a particular reason. The yogis, the different people, they're chanting for different reasons. For example, like Srila Prabhupada was, in Vrindavan right now, Krishna Balarama Temple, Mandir, there is a 24-hour kirtan going on. Goes on 24 hours, so it's going on now, whatever time it is over there. And many devotees join that 24-hour kirtan and help keep the kirtan going and serve Krishna in that way. And also a lot of it attracts also a lot of young men there to join in the kirtan. So there was one young man there, and he was participating in this 24-hour kirtan. And at night, while he was sleeping in the brahmacharya ashram, he had a dream. So in the dream, he was in the temple room, and he walked up and to Srila Prabhupada's Murti there in the temple room, and he was praying to Prabhupada, and then Srila Prabhupada in his form of the Murti started to speak to him in this dream, and he said, it's very good that you're chanting Hare Krishna, and I'm very happy with you engaging in this activity and participating in the 24-hour kirtan. And but if you continue to sing to attract women, then you'll go to hell. Prabhupada told him that. And then this devotee, he woke up. So you can imagine the dream was like really intense. You go up, and Prabhupada says it to you. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. But if you continue to sing for women, you're going to go to hell. It's pretty. So people, whether people primarily as the first and foremost within the forefront of their mind are chanting Hare Krishna to attract women. How much he was doing that, who knows? But the principle is there. Attract the opposite sex. Look how great of a singer I am, right? And so on. Or you have an example of Srila Prabhupada was in India, and there was this man, and he went up to Prabhupada and said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, you, or Swamiji, you are engaging people in chanting Hare Krishna, and I'm engaging people in chanting Hare Krishna, so let us join together." And the man went to go on to explain that I have hundreds and thousands of people chanting Hare Krishna, and specifically they're chanting Hare Krishna to for the betterment of people's material health, fixing their knee or whatever, different things like that. And then so this man said, "Let us join together, Swamiji," and Prabhupada said, "No." He said, "That's against our principle. We are servants of the holy name. We are not engaging Krishna in our service. We don't want the holy name to serve us. We're servants of the holy name, servants of Krishna." So Prabhupada rejected that idea. Even though the guy was getting a lot of people to chant Hare Krishna, but the motive was not right. You have in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is from the Antya Lila, chapter 13, text 93 and also 109 through 110, but there's a description of a personality named Ram Das Vishvas, who was externally a great Vaishnava, a devotee of Lord Ramachandra, externally. So I'll just read here. It says, this is the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ram Das had renounced everything and was going to see Lord Jagannath. He was on his way to see Jagannath. He renounced everything. Right? We have a hard time renouncing everything, right? We may have a hard time, but he renounced everything. He's going to see Lord Jagannath. While traveling, he chanted the holy name of the Lord Ram. Guess how much he chanted? 24 hours a day. Ever tried doing that? 24 hours a day. When Ram Das Vishwas met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord did not show him any special mercy. Hey, he renounced everything. Hey, he was going to see Lord Jagannath. He chanted Ram's name 24 hours a day, but Lord Chaitanya, he didn't give him any mercy. Special mercy. Although this was their first meeting. So it was their first meeting too. You have the first meeting of, for example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. How much mercy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Ramananda Roy, right? Amazing. Inconceivable. And you have the first meeting of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. The first meeting is important, and it's very important. You have these different descriptions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat. The first meeting of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, ecstatic descriptions. So this is the first meeting of Ram Das and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he didn't give him any special mercy. Within his heart, Ram Das Vishwas was an impersonalist who desired to merge into the existence of the Lord. And he was very proud of his learning. Being the omniscient Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand the heart of everyone, and thus he knew all these things. So he understood. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood. So yeah, chanting to attract the opposite sex, or chanting for the upliftment of people's material health, or chanting to merge into the existence of God or Krishna, to chanting to make money, all these different things. These are not the right reasons to chant, although it's going on all over the world for these different reasons. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he explains what are the right reasons. We chant for the pleasure of Krishna. We chant, we're calling out to Krishna, please protect me, please engage me in your service. Please let me reconnect with you. Let me reawaken my love for you. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavatam vajagadisha kame mama janmani janmanishare bhavatad bhaktir hoitiki tvai. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying, O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. So that is the mood of chanting Hare Krishna. We don't want wealth. Okay, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna, and hopefully the money comes. Or followers. Yes, I'll chant Hare Krishna, and then I'll get a bunch of followers. But the devotee, the only reason they may accept, not always, but the only reason they may accept followers is to help them, is to engage them as a service to their spiritual master. That's the only reason. But they don't want it for any mundane reasons. He's saying, I don't desire beautiful women. So, but what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying? I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. So I only want to serve you birth after birth. And that means that he's not concerned also with cutting the cycle of birth and death. says birth after birth. It doesn't matter wherever you want to place me. So this is the proper spiritual reason, mood to chant Hare Krishna. And of course, the verse before, Trinadapi Sunichanatora Sahishana Amani Amana Dena Kirtanisida Hari. So to be as humble as a blade of grass, as tall as a tree, and to not devoid of all sense of false prestige, and we should be ready to offer all respects to other and not expecting a respect in return. In such a state we could chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. This is also the formula for book distribution, by the way. Trinadapi Sunichana. This is the formula for love of God. This is the formula for all preaching, and this is the formula Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says we should wear it around our neck. String it with the holy names. So, but the power of illusion is so strong that we don't feel we don't feel ourselves to be in an emergency situation or in an urgent help situation, and we may not feel that it's an urgent situation. Means the conditioned soul's rotting in material existence. Due to the power of illusion, due to the power of bad habits. We may not understand that. And bad habits are these habits of the mind, or certain thinking, feeling, willing, right, actions. They're so much. I mean, practically, they're just senseless. They're done in a senseless fashion for no good reason. It's just dumb. Like that story about the cat in the bag at the marriage ceremony, or the cat in the basket at the marriage ceremony. You know, there's a marriage ceremony, right, going on, and you have a bride there and a groom and a bunch of people, and then all of a sudden a cat comes in, right, and the priest says, "Oh, you get a basket, put it on the cat, right, so that it doesn't make disturbance in the ceremony." So then that goes on, and there's the bride and the groom, and then there's the mother of the bride. So then, that bride and the groom, they go on with their life, and they get married, and then they have children, and then when it's time for their children to get married, that bride who experienced the cat in the basket at her wedding, she tells, there's a whole ceremony with her now child getting married, daughter getting married, and then the girl says, "Hey, wait a second, you got to get the cat in the basket. It's very important. That's part of the ceremony, right?" But it has no meaning. So, this idea of being a sold-out slave of our senses, it's senseless. It's foolish. It's stupid. It has no meaning. It's just a bad habit. Bad habits. But because of that, and because of so many things, the power of illusion, it's hard for us sometimes to feel that, hey, I'm in an emergency situation. And therefore, because we don't feel that, chanting is difficult. Chanting Hare Krishna is very difficult. May in some cases boring. May in some cases, I could be doing so many other things, right? We don't see the importance of chanting Hare Krishna. We may not see the importance of chanting Hare Krishna at all times. But it's the most important. Says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada makes a point in the purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, in the Passing Away of Haridas Thakur section there, he says that out of all the instructions of the spiritual master, the most important instructions is to at least chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra daily. So, but Prabhupada, in his perfect example of a Vaishnava and perfect humility. He understands, and he like he would go before the deities and he would pray, right, to Srimati Radharani, please protect me, please do not let me fall down, right? He would pray. So it is emergency. In India, I heard recently, at least within some places, when you want to call, like here we call it 911, the ambulance to come. Apparently, in India, you dial 108, emergency, 108, and you call and the ambulance comes. So I was thinking in relation to beads, right? Emergency situation. Save me, Krishna, protect me, engage me, right? So if we're able to understand, if we're able to somehow or other understand to some degree the emergency situation of ourselves, of the world, and if we're able to understand the need to chant Hare Krishna as sincerely and seriously as we can, then this will gradually bring success. But without understanding that, then how can there be any success? I mean, there can't be any success. Why? Because Yuga Dharma Harinam, right? It's Harinam, it's chanting. So without accepting the medicine or without accepting the process for this age, and how can there be any success? How can there be any health? Yes, I want to be healthy, right? I want to be strong and healthy. All right, well here, take some medicine. There's nothing wrong with medicine. Take some medicine, right? All right, well what's the medicine? Oh, here's the medicine, Hare Krishna. No, I don't want to take that. I don't understand the importance of it. I don't understand the need for it. I don't really feel, or I'm not really taking it properly. So then how do we expect to be healthy? How do we expect to be strong? It's impossible. It's actually insanity to think we will be strong, to think we will be healthy spiritually without taking full shelter of the holy names of Krishna. It's insanity. What are we going to become strong by? Managing money and man, and what are we going to become strong by? We become strong by holy name of Krishna. So, or whatever other processes. What are we going to be strong by? Taking sannyas. What are we going to be strong by? Yoga, mystic power, severe austerity, diet, analytical study of matter. What are we going to become strong by? Become strong by chanting the holy names of Krishna, associated with Krishna. And I was reading here, it's such a wonderful book actually, this book, Bhakti Loka by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's different essays on the Upadeshamrita. But he was quoting Ramanujacharya, and he was saying that if everything else fails, if you have failed to purify yourself, then just go sit next to a Vaishnava, and you observe a Vaishnava. How do they do everything, right? How do they speak? How do they chant? What are the activities they're engaged in? You see how the Vaishnava is not wasting time. And then you think, yes, I want to become like that. We get inspiration by the association of devotees. This is the basic principle of Srila Prabhupada. He engaged this principle. People would come and they would see Prabhupada and they say, yes, just see his good qualities. Just see how he's experiencing this ecstasy. Just see how he's not wasting time. I want to be like that. So, or else if we try like all of these different people, we try to take shelter of different things other than Krishna, whether they be things that may be considered spiritual or things that we may be able to utilize in Krishna service, or whether we try to take shelter of material things, it's all considered useless because we are not taking shelter of the most important process, or the most important thing we need to take shelter of, right? Harinam, Krishna. So, yeah, in conclusion, it's the full process is there, perfect process of Krishna consciousness is there, and to the degree we take shelter of it, to that degree we will become strong and healthy and successful. And to the degree we do not take shelter of it for whatever reasons, to that degree, then we don't become successful, strong, and healthy, and all that. So, in so many ways, Krishna has put the, as an American saying goes, has put the ball in our court by giving us this free will, which is extremely powerful. I mean, it is extremely powerful. I mean, people say, oh, how do we come to the material world? I mean, coming all the way to the material world, right, from the spiritual world, free will, that's extremely powerful, right? So, if we just learn how, if we train ourselves by giving up, all types of materialistic, habitual, right, thinking and feeling and acting and all that, if we just train ourselves how to use our free will, how to use it to the best ability in Krishna consciousness, then we could accomplish amazing things for our spiritual master, and of course by the mercy of our spiritual master, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and we could become fully Krishna conscious. So, but without getting a hold of our free will, and without getting learning how to direct it properly, then it's very difficult. So, does anybody have any questions or comments here in person or online?
I have a question.
Okay.
Balaram Prabhu, in the purport, the following quote, if I may, quote, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore told Sanatana Goswami that without the touch of devotional service, Gyan, Yoga, and Sankhya philosophy cannot give one the desired results, end quote. So, Prabhu, and you brought during your class the Shikshastaka verse, I don't want wealth, I don't want beautiful women, I don't want followers, all I want is your devotional service. So, and if I may, in the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami says, verse 2, that we should not practice devotion. We should not practice the rules, observe the rules and regulations of the scriptures only by following them, and not for being interested in spiritual advancement. So my question is related to desire. How far can we go while executing devotional service related to cultivating the desire for spiritual advancement? Because in my humble understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, this desire for making spiritual advancement, depending on the behavior of the devotee, could be there damaging the whole effort. how far can we go in relation to desiring spiritual advancement? Can it be that we could be there making it the wrong way?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, desire is the desire is what is moving the world in a particular direction, and desire is what is moving us. Right? That's yeah. Desire is moving us completely. Material desires move us certain ways. Spiritual desires move us certain ways, certain directions. So yeah, it's all about transforming our desires from material desires to spiritual desires. And sometimes people, they may have material desires while engaging in Krishna consciousness. And Krishna may fulfill those material desires. But it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna fulfills the material desires in such a way as that the devotee never wants them again. It says that in 11th canto too. He fulfills the desires in such a way that he never wants them again, or that the devotee never wants them again. So yeah, we should try to understand the nature of material desires, the nature of spiritual desires. We should try to understand that. But really, the understanding of anything really is based on us becoming purified. For somebody who's a complete nonsense, complete rascal, complete, dirty heart, filthy heart, what can they understand? It's very hard for them to understand anything, actually, spiritually speaking. Just like one time I remember I was distributing books. Yeah, I did that a few times too. But I was distributing books, and there was this guy who I met, and I gave him a book, and he visited the temple, and we were exchanging some emails. And I tried to explain to him this idea of the need to purify the heart, from lust and anger and greed and all these different things. And in essence, this guy was not following what I was saying at all. He was saying, "What's the need for that? What's wrong with, Anyways. But to the degree one is completely covered by the modes of material nature, to that degree they don't understand. Like it says that if lust hijacks one's consciousness so much, or covers one's consciousness so much, then it could cover it to the degree that one just completely forgets spiritual desires. Sometimes we see that happen. Somebody joins the Hare Krishna movement, maybe due to this reason, that reason, so many different reasons. Material existence is very complex. They leave, and we see sometimes that they become so covered by ignorance and illusion and maya, right? The modes of material nature, they completely forget spiritual desire, spiritual goals. And of course, some devotees, they leave, and it's somewhere in the back of their mind, spiritual desires and goals, but because they're so covered, they have a hard time acting on it. That's another thing. So the more we're able to remove Chaito, Darpana, Marjanam, which again is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process, Hari Nam, chanting the holy names of Krishna. That's the process of cleansing. The more we're able to cleanse, first of all, we're able to not fall into that category completely forgetting spiritual goals, right? That's one fallen state. Another state is to have spiritual goals but not be able to act on it, right? Another state, getting a little better. The goals are there, but sometimes we act, sometimes we don't, right? So the more we get develop purity, the more we're just able to act all the time on spiritual desires and completely not act on material desires whatsoever. Which seems like a high standard, but it's possible by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. That's what last time I checked, that's what the scriptures say. It's possible. Right? It says that anybody who falls down, offers obeisances, falls down in that way before Nityananda Prabhu, he'll have mercy on them and help them. But the desires that we have are largely based on our association, what association we keep. So it's actually only by the association of devotees that somebody's desires change. It's only by that association. We associate with people of bad character, low-class people, and we become like that, exactly like that. People who are attached sensually, materialistically to women and so on, wealth and so on, who are devoid of God consciousness, devoid of good qualities, then we become exactly like that. But if we associate with devotees, then we'll become like the devotees, which is wonderful. So we should try to situate ourselves as much as possible in devotee association, which is the best association one could ever have. And whatever association we have received and however way we could help or assist people in their spiritual life, we could also try to associate or specifically help others by book distribution, so many different ways, try to help bring them to Krishna consciousness. Why? Because the world is in great, dire need of good association. Everybody's swimming in bad association. The whole world's in, just one big asat sangha place. But if we could just somehow or other give people some association, then their desires start to change. Yeah, I'll chant Hare Krishna. Why not? You're doing it. You look kind of happy. I'll read those books. Sounds cool. Or I'll join an ashram. I mean, how do people join ashrams? How did everybody join an ashram here? They associated with devotees, right? They associated with the other ashramites, and they said, "Oh yeah, sure, I could. This guy, he's from California. I could do it. And why not? He did it. I could do it." And they develop a desire by association with devotees. So, anyways, I hope that kind of hit on some points of your question. I know there's other points that could
yes, Balaram Prabhu, wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yes, Rajananda Prabhu.
I think it was really nice how you concluded the answer you gave to him. The importance of good association, advanced association in Krishna consciousness. Seemed like you took the two extremes. If one has a material desire, Krishna will fulfill it, but in such a way you'll give up the desire. Mm-hmm. Then you took it to the other extreme. But sometimes we see people become so overwhelmed with lust that they leave Krishna consciousness. Mm-hmm. So that first one obviously isn't an absolute. Mm-hmm. The independence you spoke of in the class, mm-hmm. If you have material desires and you get thwarted, it gets fulfilled, but in such a way, well, there's some bad taste. Intelligent, sincere devotee would say, so I don't want to do this again. Mm-hmm. But if you misuse your independence, you can continue to cultivate those desires. And, you see devotees going on for decades.
Yeah.
They have, Prabhupada in the purport of the analogy of the Bhakti Lata creeper, there are weeds that look just like the Bhakti creeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
They think they are doing Bhakti, but they're engaging in some type of material desires. That's one point. And the second point that Prabhupada concludes the purport with, So in terms of his question, can it ruin the devotional service? Can it have a disadvantage? How do you say that?
Disadvantageous?
Yeah, outcome in one's devotion. Certainly, it definitely can.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, with us being Nitya Buddhas, the likelihood is that unless you really strive for the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, then you're going to sell yourself short. It's rare.
Yeah.
And the second point, the purport of this verse is that people who engage in other types of processes, if they, whatever they may want, they're only going to achieve it by adding some bhakti. So that Ram Das Vishwas, he was going to get to merge into a person. He was going to get to go to Brahman. Lord Chaitanya had no desire to associate with him. Yeah, go ahead, go for it if that's what you want. If you want mystic powers in yoga and you're chanting Hare Krishna or doing some bhakti, yeah. So that's another important aspect of not just that it's all useless, but Prabhupada's saying, okay, if that's where you're at,
Yeah.
you want something, then add bhakti. Krishna's always the one who gives.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, thank you very much for the comment. There was one brahmachari here years ago, and it was during japa time, it was japa period, and he was chanting his japa out there in front of the Krishna lounge, and he was also watering at the same time, you know. It's not recommended to do that, you know, just chant, but he was doing both, you know. And then one devotee walked out and said, "Hey, you know, Haribol," to whoever he was, and so what are you watering the weeds or watering the creeper, you know? It's Rajan Prabhu. He's the one who said that, but it's good point. You watering the weeds, watering the creeper, yeah. And the devotee kind of stopped and, okay, well, guess I should put the hose down, you know. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. But yeah, like that nice quote from your guru the other day that Rajan Prabhu shared with me, said that, previously when devotees blooped, you know, they left ISKCON. He said, now sometimes they bloop and they stay, you know. Which is a very interesting point, because like you're saying, you know, acting on material desires or being materialistic, and, you know, kind of watering the weeds, but still engaging in some Krishna consciousness, but, you know, staying around. And sometimes, you know, younger devotees, they hear older devotees say this. Oh yeah, you know, there's been devotees you know, I've been around for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years, and there's been devotees been around for so long, and, you know, sometimes younger devotees are like, all right, that's an interesting point, but hey, that may not happen to me, you know. How am I going to go for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, you know, kind of with in a certain direction, you know? But time goes by fast. Time goes by fast, you know. Before you know it, you know, everyone, whoever they are, it will be 10 years, it will be 15 years, it will be 20 years, you know. So, therefore, better try to, you know, work now, you know, to try to work things out so that when that time comes, you know, at least we're on some level where we're, you know, felt like at least we've tried. You know, that's the principle. Krishna wants to see us, like, really try, so. All right, I think yeah.
I thought you were going to say they've been around 30, 40 years. How come they're still like they are? It's the potential danger we should always be aware of. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's also brought up sometimes. Oh, they've been around for so long. Why are they still like that? Now, an interesting point, which was the last point I'll bring up right now, is that, and then we'll close this, but in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the Nectar of Devotion, there's a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says even someone on the level of bhava, means, you know, which sometimes they say is like the doorstep of love of God. Practically, you know, this is the rays of, you know. Even on the level of bhava, extremely high platform, it says that still those persons may display some apparent quality that may not be appreciable to people, you know, a bad quality. They may display that. And then he gives the example of a moon, you know, Shashi, I think rabbit, right? I think it's called Shashi because rabbit, anyways, but he gives the example of a moon that even though it's given illumination, there's still spots on the moon. So I mean that's a personal bhava. So give we should give devotees a little forgiveness and so anyways, all right. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.